right, everybody is here at the party. Good evening, everyone. It is that time of the week that we get to share a lot of great information. And today's topic is really geared towards those that are in the real estate community. All right, those that are in the real estate community, you understand that this time is crucial to get new business. All right, it's great with nurturing business that we've had in the past. This is the time to really start talking to past clients, but it's also the time to start thinking, all right, I need business for next week. I need business for next month and next quarter coming up. So I wanted to make sure that I was giving value. I wanted to make sure I was giving you value from a real estate point of view. As I've worked in real estate for 22 years, I do not know it all. I can't even say that I know it all, but I promise you, I want to make sure that I'm bringing you the pieces of the puzzle that I may not know. So if that's okay, I really wanted to make sure tonight's topic was about how to get more listings, ladies and gentlemen, no matter where you are in the United States, with less clients. So it's super important to make sure that you know you've got to have pen and paper. You've got to be able to implement something that's going to take you away from this webinar today and think, you know what, that's the one thing I needed. That's the one thing I needed in my business to make things grow. So I have a special guest. Her name is Kelli Meade. We are in a mastermind together. And as soon as I connect with certain people, I already know I'm going to see you later. And so she was one of those I'm going to see you later individuals. So I wanted to bring up Miss Kelli Meade. She is an associate broker, and she's going to lead that conversation tonight as we talk together about how to get more leads, how to get more listings with less clients. So Kelli, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready, girl?
I'm excited as well.
Okay, well, it's time to dive right into it. So I just want the people really just to get a little bit of information about you first. So share a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, so I'm so glad. I'm so happy to be on this platform. Honestly, I never thought I would be speaking and helping and teaching realtors about how to get more business because and Lorie, we've talked about this. My journey was so different. Becoming a realtor, I didn't want to be a realtor because I was an investor first, and I thought there was going to be way too many gray areas where it will hinder me from like making decisions on my investments and helping other investors where I was licensed. But once I got into an understanding contract law and understanding what it really was to be a realtor, I was so glad that I armed myself with everything I needed to know about real estate, both in the license and in the investing, because when it comes down to it, like I just love real estate and everything about it. But my journey to becoming a realtor, I started investing in real estate in 2009 when it was the recession.
Nice time.
And actually, you know what? Had I been a little bit more wiser, I would just say I was just getting out of college, so I wasn't at the wisest that I could have been. Had I been a little bit more wiser, you gotta remember YouTube was just getting started. Like YouTube, we didn't have limited information. They actually still printed stuff in books back then.
Yeah. Who's doing that?
So you had to actually go read and go get the information back then. But when I first I got invited to my first real estate camp class and went for a weekend. And I just remember thinking like, this is what my retirement plan will be.
Right.
It's real estate. I know that I'm going to acquire property, hold property, sell property, flip property, and that is how I'm going to generate wealth for my family. And so it was tough, though. I would say, like, listening to a lot of people, because back then, and while that market is different from this market, I want to get into that later, but that market not only had the real estate market bottomed out. So this market, really the real estate market hasn't bottomed out, but back then it was because of the real estate and because of the type of loans, subprime loans that were issued. So you had low values on property, right, that were pennies on the dollar for what people owed on them. So all values, everybody was underwater in equity. And then you had people that also had lost more than half of their wealth in a nest egg in the market.
Right.
And so you are talking with people that were truly under distress. Like they did not know what to do next because they were starting to live in their golden years. And here I am, straight out of college, and I was like, oh, they told me if I go put out landing signs everywhere, I would make $1 million.
You thought you found it, right? Like, I'm rich now.
Easy. Let me start. Hand me the marker. Where's my marker? And so that's what we started doing. I started working with a lot of people that had short sales, and that process was a long process. I met up with a lot of REO agents, and that was kind of the reason why at first I didn't want to be an agent, because all I think was doing was like pushing a lot of papers. It really wasn't about a lot of the real estate. I was like, I wanted to be about the real estate. I didn't want to do a lot of things that were, basically having to negotiate and pass over conversations and from what the seller can do, what the bank do, and how we can come to agreement. But that's how I got started. I started wholesaling, and then I got that that call that probably a lot of young people get when their parents are still kind of taking care of them.
What was that call? Because I'm still young, so I'm trying to figure out what that call was. Maybe I got it. I don't know if I got that call yet.
It was you're either going to get a stable job.
That call.
You're going to go back to school. You're going to go back to the military, or you're going to come back home and live with us.
Okay.
And
what you gonna do?
I didn't want to do really any of it, but because I had did a couple of deals, but it wasn't consistent, right? It wasn't enough to keep the lights on consistently, and so I got a job.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I got a job in my field because I graduated in the fall of 2008 from college.
Okay.
When the stock market, the bottom fell out.
What was your degree in?
I had a degree, or I have a degree from Auburn in information management systems.
Okay.
And so MIS. So I was looking to do that back then when I was trying to sell. I was going to job fairs, and they were only hiring for like tech support and customer support, things that I could have been doing when I was in college, right?
True.
And so yeah, so I got the job with the Navy, moved up to Memphis, and like you said, it was great for me having it because what it allowed me to do is now I have a W-2, now I have a stable job, now I have income coming in.
She got money.
Credit score and everything.
She got money.
Now I can go and purchase property versus go and look for short sales and things like that. I can go and just purchase property because back then on the MLS there were so many properties.
Short sales were in abundance.
You can just go and just like take your pick, right? So that's what I did. So I started investing and becoming a landlord once I got the job with the Navy.
So you got some properties, so you were holding properties at first.
Yes.
Got it.
So I was buying. So when I was in Birmingham, I was wholesaling, and then when I moved to Memphis, and I actually had a W-2, then I started acquiring them and buying them and holding them, and I did my first flip there, which was an experience.
You said a flip fair? What's that?
A flip fair. So I did a flip. I bought a foreclosure, and then I fixed it up. And then it's like the foreclosure was like cosmetic stuff. I didn't have to do anything other than like fix some termite damage that was on my house, but everything else was just like updating flooring, painting. We knocked half a wall out to open up the space. Like it wasn't anything big.
Okay, good. That's good for your first one.
Yeah, but during this experience, like I learned how to, evaluate my own properties. I understood what comps were. I understood what a good deal looks like. I understood what repair costs and how to budget for repair costs. So those were really great experiences. And I got kind of over the years, I kind of got busy with job, and I didn't do real estate as much. I kind of lost sight of how it even got to that
Are you
point.
saying the job distracted you?
Right.
Well, a little bit. Sometimes, sometimes the check will do that. But so you started out in, because ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to know, she's not in the Maryland, DC area. You're in Alabama.
I am, yes, I'm in Alabama.
So this conversation doesn't matter what state that you're in, just kind of follow the journey of, you didn't even go to school for anything related to real estate, but what was it? My question, what was it about real estate that you went in that direction after school?
Because years in my education in real estate from 2009 to this day, and I will
Right.
continue to spend on my education, because if I was to pick up one thing that could help me, then it's worth it. But I think when I got there, when I'm going back to that boot camp, because it really kind of started with the boot camp. It was a Robert Kiyosaki Rich Dad Poor Dad. A lot of people, that's how their journey started. But going through that experience, and that was the very first time I ever heard about the terminology real estate investing.
Right.
I was like, I didn't even know what that was. My parents never owned property other than their house. They didn't have any rental properties or anything like that. So I never was taught that.
You never saw that
Or
side.
had an opportunity to see that. Although my grandmother, when I look back now, my grandmother actually owned several properties. But it just wasn't anything that was like celebrated enough in the family. But yeah, so when they were going through the different strategies about how to acquire property, what it would do, and how much money, and how you can generate wealth, it was just intriguing to me. I just really fell in love with it. It's just a weekend, honestly.
That's good.
Just a weekend. I knew that I needed to be involved in real estate.
And you jumped
yeah,
into it. And you jumped into it. Your first property, you owned a property. Was it a 4-unit, single family? What was it that your first?
It was just a typical 3-bedroom, 2-bath in a C5 area.
Yeah.
And for some people may know what that, but like it was in an area where it was guaranteed income, fenced-in backyard, like it would literally be quintessential of what your first property get into it should look like.
So they were good. They were good tenants. Yes, they paid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Signed 2-year leases like that.
That's what we like.
Yes.
Cool. So from there, so from that one property, what did you start doing after that?
So yeah, so like I said, I was working and I'm still working, and I was like over the next few years, I really like it was really that fix and flip. I think I lost a lot of my enthusiasm because it was just a lot to do with contractors. They put con in the middle for a reason, in the beginning for a reason.
Yes, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think I lost a little bit of my win after that deal, even though I still profited really well. It was, because I bought in a market where it's too hard to not. I think it took a lot of wind out of me, and I started just focusing on the career path as far as working with the Navy. And it wasn't until I came up with another product. It was a wearable tech product, and I said, you know what, I don't want to be in a cubicle forever. Like, this is not me. I'm just gonna bet on myself, and I quit my job and I started that company. And I'll tell you, when we talk about funding and why you should wait, I did it off of impulse. Well, it wasn't impulse. I thought about it for months, but I didn't think through it clear. I was like, well, I have rental properties. I can leverage money on that. I have some money in the 401k, because I was the type of person that I just like.
Oh, you didn't have any liquid money is what you're trying to say. You didn't have any liquid cash, but you had them in the house.
Yes.
In the 401k plans.
Yes. I had a lot of equity in my house. I had, some in my 401k. Absolutely. Because of my liquid money, honey, between me, I was 20-something years old, so I was.
That's fast. That's gone. We spent that at church, doing the right thing, tithing it. But then let's fast forward to now, as far as you've got, how many properties do you have now?
So I downsized a lot now. We have a few properties.
Got it.
But I'm looking to grow my portfolio for sure.
Okay, so let's talk about the investors that you work with now, because I know that we've got a couple of more investors that have, some realtors that did just join in, and definitely for the replay for those that's going to be listening. What is that niche that they could start looking into, or what did you really fall into that was like, hey, no matter what, this can make more business?
Yeah, so this is when I realized that there was a gap in the learning for real estate agents. So I fast forward to 2017, I just moved back to Alabama, and I'm back into real estate now. And I'm teaching property for sale, and it was gonna be a build out over a few phases over like 400 properties
Wow.
or lots for sale. And but I need to get my real estate license in order to do it. And so that was one area that I had never been exposed to new construction. I was
Right.
like, that sounds very exciting. I know about all these other strategies. I
Mhm.
want to learn this piece of the puzzle. I want to understand how it all starts with real
Right.
estate. And so I started doing that my very first year of selling new construction. I sold 74 homes. And then once they saw that I had a system going, right?
They liked you.
Yeah. And so then we went over and we did, I became director of sales and then VP of sales. And my team, us as a team together, we generated over 200 properties. It's still properties that I sold
Got it.
in 2021 that I still get paid on because it took forever to build
To
them.
build them. Okay. So you were working directly with the builder or independent?
So I was working directly with the builder.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. So the builder was my client.
Got it.
And so that's when I realized that, like, this is what, as a realtor, even if you're not working with a builder that can build that many houses, finding those niches, and because I never, again, remember, I didn't want to be a real estate agent for the reasons of what you may see on like HGTV or A&E.
Well, HGTV looks amazing, but you don't want to be the real realtor.
I don't know. I don't want to show, that wasn't why I got into real estate.
Right.
I didn't get into real estate to show homes. I got into real estate to invest in property.
Yeah.
And then I didn't take what I know and help other people invest in properties. And when I realized that I could use that knowledge of what I've learned and help other investors as a licensed agent to do it and scale their businesses,
Okay.
then it made more sense. So I started working with serial entrepreneurs that are investing and flipping multiple homes and building multiple homes. And I realized that it's key to, you can have relationships with, those type of investors or businesses that their sole business is to do real estate. And they're doing it maybe on a smaller scale, 10 to 15 houses a year, but you only need about 10 of those clients, and they're usually building a house every year.
Okay, so let me get something straight. So are you saying that you worked not as an employee of the builder?
No.
You were working as an agent to help connect an investor with a brand new home that was being built?
So some of that. So my client wasn't the builder. Whoever our buyers were, we had retail buyers, we had investors. Like I throw a terminology like build to rent was really big.
Yeah.
Still getting bigger. So you have a lot of investors. So we worked with a lot of investors, and we sold whole communities out with the hedge funds and other communities. But yeah, like I worked directly. I was the agent for the builder that facilitated all of his sales, all of his contracts came through me before they got executed. So we worked that, and I learned so much about, just even the acquisition of land.
Yes.
Right.
That's different.
And then taking it, but the process, like what I like about you is how the marketing is so important, because the reason why I call myself the queen of selling dirt is because my team, and that was my key of how I sold 74 homes, is because most of those homes were dirt.
Yep.
But I got really great at marketing and showing them the vision.
Right. That's what they got to see.
And so now they can emotionally connect to what their vision of their brand new construction home will look like.
And where area was this? Was in Alabama?
This was in Alabama.
That's a huge community. 400 houses.
Oh yeah. Oh, we had well, it's over phase.
Okay, but that's still a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, like we, and that's the beauty of like what I like about new construction is because although people don't shy away from it because I think you have to wait for the house built to get paid, but once you turn that faucet on, it won't turn off quick, but you don't have to worry about 30 days out. You usually could have closing out in 9, 10, 12 months.
Exactly.
So yeah, so that's what I learned is like working, and then so although the builder, I was working
Mhm.
expanded over to Alabama. So he was already a bigger builder, that was still looking to scale. But what I noticed is there were a lot of my investors that were okay with doing 10 to 20 houses a year.
Mhm.
And still needed someone that has the expertise as me or my team had to help sell their property.
Got
Right?
it.
And they needed someone to understand how to put a floor plan together, to understand how to
Mhm.
explain the key features, to understand how to put together, option packages and design
Right.
packages, and how to price them out, and how to forecast pricing, even though we're building it now, what it will be in the future, so that I don't leave any money on the table.
It's
Like,
surprising they didn't have a marketing team, because normally they have sales agents that work in the office. They didn't have that. They had you.
We were the sales team, so I
Wow.
was VP of sales and marketing.
That's huge.
And under me had a director of marketing, where they did all the marketing, and then we had the sales team. So yeah,
That is
it
huge.
was a full. The builder I was with, it was a complete full on operation.
That is major. So for agents that are in this area, we still have new construction going on everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Now with everything as far as rates, like I just recently had a client back out of an $880,000 home. He was like, this is it. I don't find any resales that I like, but that was the only house. Unfortunately, he wrote that contract back in the wintertime. And the house was supposed to be delivered in the end of this year. He had to pull out because interest rates were going up too much. So I see that now, just talking with a couple of lenders, is that in the climate that we're in, no, we're not dealing with programs that don't make sense like before. We're now dealing with, hey, I was approved at 3.5 and now the rates are double almost in some cases. So in those kind of cases, did you experience anything like that? Because what year were you mostly selling those homes?
Yeah, 2020. I mean, when it was 2021, like when it was still getting.
Oh, it was high.
But we still dealt with. So and it doesn't matter what time or situation is, because we're gonna always deal with people that get approved for something, life happens in between getting their house built, and they may not qualify, because all you're getting in the beginning is a pre-qualification letter. And there's usually incentives, and it's always to the discretion of the buyer. But a lot of those times, you usually just have to come, like in these times, if that is happening, they usually have to come to the table with more cash.
Exactly, more of a deposit.
Yeah, more cash, or like I said, back out. But I think that as the market, because it's an interesting time right now, because we are still in a housing deficit. However, there are a lot less buyers on the market right now. But that is not because they don't need housing, because they can't afford it. So
Exactly.
if it was a solution, the market would you'll notice the market still has value.
Right.
And so I do see what happened as the market started to bounce back in the 2013 when new construction really started to bounce back, in my opinion. You're gonna probably see some builders offer, especially your independent builders, offer some creative finance like options, or doing some owner financing where they just refinance the property themselves, and they sell it to buyers. You're gonna see some more those kind of creative, or some more or this type of incentive, because it's really tough to builders never, just remember, I saw this a lot. People always want to come in and ask for a reduction in price. They kill the builder's business. So a wise builder would never want to reduce the price of their home.
Right, just thinking about benefits.
Every pump that's built.
Right.
Kill their business. They'll go bankrupt if they do that.
Right.
They'll rather give you a free refrigerator or a free blind before they reduce the price of the house.
Gotcha.
Or they'll rather work on we had a program at one point where we'll pay your first three mortgage payments. On a program that we worked with one of our preferred lenders. There's a lot of different ways you can structure deals.
There's a lot of creativity. So even with that, right now, because the most of your business when you were working with builders, that was 2020 and 2021, right?
2019 and 20, yeah.
Got it. So the market was still rough in a good way because houses were just, you didn't have that much inventory. So that part's not a problem. I guess the question would be for some of the realtors that are out here, they're like, well, how can I get into the business like Kelli did? What's a suggestion for them to get close? Because many of the bigger builders in our area, they already have a team. You know, they already have a sales team already. So what would you suggest if someone said that's a good idea?
Some people think that. Most of them don't, honestly. I mean, I hear that a lot. The bigger ones do, but when you're looking at the newer ones or the ones that are smaller,
Yeah,
they usually don't. They usually they hold their own license. They're trying to sell them themselves.
that's true.
But if you can't get to become a listing agent for a builder, right now all builders need are some qualified buyers.
Right.
And that's really what all builders need, but especially now are needing qualified buyers. And the qualified buyers now doesn't look like what it did 18 months ago.
Nope.
You know, right now what you're gonna see is you're gonna see a lot of buyers that have good credit, they have some cash, but based on the house that they really want, their DTI may not make sense.
Right.
You may be too high to qualify for that $500,000, $800,000 house when they could qualify for it 18 months ago, but maybe they were not ready to buy a house back then. We're only ready in our own time. So what I would tell agents to do right now, since we are, you know, in a buyer's market, I would start collecting all the information, sitting down with either the builders or either the on-site builders agents that have all the bigger builders, getting all the information they can from all the different builders that you like the most, that you're passionate about the most in the area, and then look at all the different products, because there's going to be some that are building townhomes, you know, garden homes, starter homes, all the way up to your bigger family home. Collecting that information and then organizing in a way that whenever you have a buyer that matches that, now you know all the programs that the builder provides. Now you know that, you know, and even put a little tidbit in the air. What would you think about a lease option program? You talk to the right builder,
they'll be willing now.
Interest, yeah, they just pay their fixed interest payment on a house that hasn't sold.
Right.
They thought would sell.
Like, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's about anything.
There were. I had an investor call me today and I picked up the phone. Like, it was one of those spam-like numbers, so I picked it up. Good thing I did. So he's an investor who's selling a property in our area. And he says, do you have any buyers that you may be looking for that have not so much bad credit, but they just can't get traditional financing? So for people that might be self-employed, like me, like I am, and some other agents that are on the line that may be gig workers, you know, that traditional income that can't be verified. He says, we're doing seller financing. All they need to do is come up with 12% of the sales price, and that's it. The seller will analyze, look at the last 12 months bank statements and just figure out, do you qualify based on the deposits that are given? And that person will be a homeowner. So it's so many different techniques that are now coming out the way, because I'm just thinking, first of all, don't try to scam any of my buyers, that I got to make sure that that's a legit process. But you've got seller financing that I see now that's going to be a very prominent thing. So for realtors that are trying to figure out what could work, we've already talked about two things. Kelli dove into talk to the builder, get close to them, and at least find out what are their products. Like, be their girlfriend, be their man on the scene, and just say, look, I'm working predominantly in the Bowie, Maryland area, and I'm only working for Bowie residents that want new construction. You know, the marketer in me is looking at, go create yourself a domain, get a website, and just say new homes in Bowie. You know, that's probably taken, but just be creative. New homes in Bowie, let that be your website. And then just start putting pictures and videos of that community on that particular website. I'm sorry, guys, the marketing is just coming out. So I'm just trying to help you put it together because you're like, I'm not trying to see, I can't see it. But once you are the person and you're always on the scene, you're always doing videos, you're always doing, pop-ups at the builder, then they trust you. Who would be that first point of contact when they say, I did have a client come in here and they do need to list their property. I do need your help. You would be that first person that they would talk to because that you've been present. And yes, you're right, Kelly. I went to one builder and he had a salesperson, but at the same time, he was like, here are all our images. You can do what you want to market this community. So whatever buyers that you bring will compensate you for that. So I think I love it. I love that idea of doing that. And then also ask any of your seller clients if they're open to seller financing. I don't know if any of the builders were doing that. I don't think they had to, of course, in the last 2 years. But what do you think about seller financing option?
I love the seller financing option. And even if the builders are not doing it, there are other investors. That's why I love, I think every agent needs to be better at tapping into their investor network.
Yeah.
Because there's investors that invest in real estate in so many different ways. There are some that only want to buy notes.
Yeah.
Like they only want to hold the paper. They don't care about the house. They don't need to see their name. They just want to be the bank in the situation.
Got it.
So they
Collective payments.
because they usually have access to like hedge fund money or some other type of private money, and their pockets are really big and fat, and they just want, they need places to put it. Yeah. And so they would just come in and see if you can finance it through them, where yes, the interest rates will still be higher, but they're not looking at BPI, they're not looking, they're gonna look at your bank statement, they're gonna look at
make sure
your
you're working.
They're gonna make sure they're gonna make sure that it'd be about the same as if you were to rent a property for your buyers. But you have a lot of private money, note holders and lenders that will absolutely work with people that you can't get qualified for the traditional and conventional financing, because it's a lot, and it's tightened up a lot.
Yeah.
Tightened up a lot. So, and you go and tell them, I need you to hold a note, where you build network, and they say, I need you to hold a note, would you be willing to hold a note for a buyer? Here is the profile that on a new construction house. So now they know that they're going to see a pay on the house because the maintenance is going to be low.
Right.
A little higher, but
I like it.
the maintenance is going to be low, and
it's just asking. It's just asking because there's a lot of people in this area. I know in the Maryland, DC area, a lot of rich people here, a lot of wealthy people here. It's just a matter of who you ask that specific question. And I think when most people think of real estate, like the one reason why you didn't get into real estate is the one thing that a lot of us are doing is the day-to-day. Well, do you want cabinets or do you just want nothing? Do you want granite? So you don't want to deal with that part. You're looking at the bigger scope. There's so many moving pieces in real estate. So one way that Kelly was talking about was no matter what area that you're in, and it doesn't matter if it's a condominium, if it's a 4-unit, a single family home, it doesn't matter. It's that communication with the builder to find out, do you have a sales team? And, are you open to working with other outside agents? And just find out what can they do. That's who you want to give you business, because they have people coming in every single day. They have people calling every single day to get new construction because buyers can't find what they want out here. So definitely, I would just say, definitely get in touch with them to have that conversation, meet with them in person, come up there and give them value. It's not just a one-way thing. It's not like, how much is my commission? Well, what can I do to sell more houses for you here? If you approach it that way, where it's about, you're actually there to help them sell more houses, then they would be more inclined to say, I need to work with her. I need to work with him because he's not just here looking for what's my commission.
Exactly. It's spotlight them. We all
always.
Put them into your prospecting where you are spotlighting. If they have one-side sales agent, you with them to have conversations about what's hot about that particular floor plan or why that community is amazing to raise your kids in. Spotlight them, create rapport with each of these companies, and follow up with them
Right.
because there may be something that comes on the market or is about to get finished, get a CO on a certificate of occupancy. Because I tell you, when that start comes, they're ready to close on that property.
Right.
And if they don't have a buyer lined up,
Right.
you want to be the first person that they call
Mhm.
if that is the case, because you want to be able to always have a waiting list for
Right.
buyers
Right.
that may not qualify for finance. If they
Mhm.
don't qualify for traditional financing, because that's the other work that you're doing. You're working with other investors, you're working with builders that if something comes up where I have a client that has big credit, that has a fixed income,
Mhm.
DPI or high or
Mhm.
traditional and conventional financing, I just work them in kind of like, let's go make a deal, let's go create a deal.
Got it.
You gotta get rid of structuring deals for
Right.
your clients and buyer base, especially in this market.
Good deal. I like that. So how would a realtor start to, I mean, I shared one idea as far as maybe get a landing page just specifically for that community. And then just monitor the activity. Because if you ever look at some of these pages, you guys have probably seen it where you go to this one page and then there's a pop-up box and you got to put in your name, phone number, and email address. Well, that person, whoever's running that landing page, that website, they just need your information in exchange for the information that they're giving you. So if you just had pictures of, this beautiful community, this luxury community or this condo community, if somebody wants to get more information on that site, on that community, then they have to drop their information in order to get more information. So I would say if you want to talk, we can talk, because as far as the marketing, I can definitely help somebody get a page together for that. But what other ways can a realtor get buyers to want to get to that community?
So I was really super important of leveraging your social media, but also getting valuable content in your email.
Mm-hmm.
So your email should just be about, just a couple sentences. Are you ready to buy? Are you ready to buy?
Right.
It's about content heavy, giving value, educating them. There's a lot of emails as well where, I'll send out like emails that have a gift so they know that they can click on it and watch like a short little video
That's
about
good.
something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so get really creative, but send them out every day. Create content, not just on social media, but in your email campaign.
That's
where
important.
It helps them to click and it educates them because a lot of them may not be reaching out to you
Mm-hmm.
as buyers because they just don't think they can afford it.
Right.
But it's just your responsibility to show them how they can afford it. That I don't do deals the traditional way. That's how you set yourself apart.
Definitely. It's pretty
Other
easy.
agents are only going to do it based on we're going to work with you credit. Come back to me in about another 18, 30, 18 months, maybe 30 months, Whereas we'll figure out credit, we'll get it, we'll work it at the same time, but let's look at some other options of how we can get you into a home faster.
Got it. I like that. You got to set yourself apart, because one of the things that when I am coaching realtors, one of the things is I ask, who are you? Who do you serve? I'm a realtor. Okay. You and 3,000 other people, what do you do best and what sets you apart? And one of the things is really just getting your mission statement together as far as who you serve. One of the things I know when I first got started is I was like, I'm a first-time home buyer specialist. I'm like, okay, I'm taking everybody 7 days a week. And then I started niching down where I was working with less than perfect credit customers. So when I identified who I was working for, I helped less than perfect credit customers become homeowners. Once I identified that, then those type of people were coming because there's more people who have less than perfect credit out there. All right. So if I could get, so that's why you got to think outside the box and not run into, well, I just want to deal with the people who have 680 and 700 credit score. Well, how about you work with the ones that have 600 and below? 600 and below. Did you know that you can become a homeowner with a 600 credit score? Like if you were to do that as a landing page, you would get all these people. I need more information, more information, more information. Now you've got a buyer's list. These people are now on your buyer's list. So it's about now just stepping out. There's no cold calling needed. You didn't have to call. you put the information out there of value. Hey, if you have less than a 600 credit score or a 580 credit score, you can purchase a home. Find out how. And that, I'm sure you guys have all seen that. Kelly, I know you've seen that kind of advertisement everywhere. And when you're up in the middle of the night and you're like, that's me, or you're up at 8 o'clock, just trying to get through, trying to figure it out, then you're going to develop your buyers list from a need out there. So what other things that people can attract? What other things can realtors start to do to start attracting a buyer's list?
Yeah, start asking, are you paying whatever market rent rate is? Are you paying $3,000 a month, but not a homeowner? Let me show you how. Because I promise you, especially with the owner finance, the seller finance, some of the lease options, where they know they're in their house, but they're buying it. It's
Right.
taken a while to buy it. If they're paying $3,000 a day in a month to stay in an apartment, and they know by working with you because you have leveraged your relationships with builders and with other investors that can carry notes or can help others get into their dream homes and
Wait, we lost you. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Kelly, come on back. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Somebody must be calling you. Nope. There you are. You
you
back?
hear me now?
Yeah, you back. Was somebody calling? Is that what happened?
Yeah, no, this is nervous. They must call me
Like, do you know I'm on the live right now?
So I don't know which part I went out, but if someone is paying $3,000 a month in rent and they don't own, and they're not looking, they thought that they're only going to pay it, they thought that they could not afford
Right.
a house. Those are almost the buyers you should be working with right now, because you're going to leverage your relationships with builders and with other investors that are looking to help people have home ownership, that have private land, where they can invest and carry the note. You're going to work with those people to now, instead of a $3,000 a month rent payment, they have a $3,000 a month mortgage payment. And so those are the people you'll want to work with.
Got it. So I like the what you're thinking, but some of them might be thinking, I don't have any investors that got money like that. So how do we get access to the investors with these notes you're talking about? Because they obviously have deep lines of credit or they have assets that they need to invest in. So how can we get close to someone who's got the money? Who got the money? Who got the money?
I love that.
We need that private access. So how do you get access to the private money?
I'm gonna go through what I call my dreams. It's an acronym, and that's where, and I'll just go through it really quick. But dreams, D is for directory. So you can always find, honestly, going through your real estate, your local real estate investors meet up, and they're always going to be a directory for someone that knows them will be in that directory. So you always want to look at that and do a simple search. And then your R, recommendations, right? Referrals, recommendations. You want to add other people that are investors, because if they have ever flipped a home or ever bought a rental property, they know someone that is buying a home on a larger scale. So referrals and recommendations, ask for the introduction. And then you want to look at events. You want to go to real estate investing events and meet up, because those obviously they're going to be around. There are always people ways and people that they can invest their money in.
Exactly.
And then you want to go into agents, obviously. A is for agents. Like I have a resource. I have a list of thousands of real estate investors from all over the U.S. I'm doing masterminds, so I have connections with people that I can just literally text them and say, "This is what I need. Can you help?" So you want to get with other agents, and just a pro tip, especially commercial agents that work with land, because all of their buyers are always going to be in the business land, or are always going to be either developers or some type of investors that have money, have cash. Membership. Become members of some of these associations. So go ahead and get memberships in place
Mhm.
And then S, the suppliers. I always tell people, be where they have to be. So if you are working with, if you need investors, be where the investors have to be. In order for them to continue to do what they do, they have to be in these events, these meetups. They have to be at the closing attorney's office at some point. Like,
That's
be
right.
where they have to be. And that's how you can keep it with them. So connect with these suppliers, the people that are working with as an investors or these builders, roofers,
Mhm.
framers, you know,
Right.
develop those relationships, listen into some type of referral program where you feel like, you know,
This is getting
just wanna say
exciting.
thank you. Yeah, instead of a brownie, like it could be simple as like, there's
A regular brownie, you guys, just a regular brownie, not nothing.
You know, just say,
Or maybe they like the special brownie. I don't know.
you know, something, just a little bit of something, just to say, hey, I was thinking of you,
Got
you know, and let me know if you know someone that's do X, Y, and Z, because I have X, Y, and Z that
So it's just asking
Yeah.
questions, because I know many of you already know real estate investors, but you just haven't, you're just thinking the transactional flip, you know, hey, I got this house, the ARV is this, and this is how much in repairs. But on a bigger level, what Kelly's talking about is get in touch with them and ask more questions. Who do you know that can, I guess, invest in notes? Okay,
Yeah, so that's the whole, investing in those, but then who has access to private money? That's the biggest thing.
right.
Who has access to private
And they're doing that for 30 years? For 30-year term?
Well, sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of ways to do it, and I guess a whole other, but you can amortize it over 30 years. You can put balloons on it, 3-year balloons, you can put arms on it, or you can interest only, but a lot of the time, there's gonna be a balloon on it, or it's gonna be you know, right now you can't do rid of the 15 and 10 because the interest rates are so crazy, unless you have interest only, but it's usually amortized over 30, and it usually have a balloon on it because they're banking on that person, either the interest rates go down, or if you have a credit issue, they're banking on the person to repair their credit.
So it's just a temporary type situation until they get to the point where their tax returns look okay, where their credit was up to par to get what they needed. I like that. So yeah, we got to ask different questions, ladies and gentlemen. Who do you know? And a lot of times that investor that you get on the phone, that could be the one that is your go-to person, but their ego won't let you go but so far. So if you're presenting some information and say, hey, Alicia, I know that you've been selling some properties and reselling properties over in our area, but I'm looking to get some help. I'm wondering if you can help me out with someone. I'm looking for an investor that can invest in X, Y, and Z with this particular buyer up to a certain amount of money. And that investor may think, well, why didn't you ask me? Like, why are you? But that's how you have to talk to people. That's how you have to speak to a lot of influential people. You got to pass through them. Hey, I'm looking for someone that may be willing to invest. I know you do a lot of deals in Prince George's and Anne Arundel County, but I'm wondering if you know of anyone in your sphere that may be willing to invest in, I guess, what's the best thing to say? Yeah, private investing. Yep, private investing. So that's worked for me a lot of times when I'm working through conversations, because I don't want to just ask, hey, Alicia, would you be willing to do this? Because that just kind of puts a wall up sometimes when you're talking to individuals. But if you pass through them to try to get that information, hey, Alicia, I know you work in the community, you're highly respected. I want to find out if you know of any private investors that will be willing to help some first-time home buyers that I'm working with. How's that sound?
Absolutely, yes.
Y'all can do it. Y'all can do it.
And then you can even start, you don't want to guarantee anything, but you can say, are there any investors that would get 12 to 15% return on their money over X amount of time?
Right.
You know, again, you don't want to really guarantee something, but you just want to put it out there and that's backed by real estate. That's cute. Exactly.
And that's because it's not an unsecured loan. So they want to know, well, send me the details. So it would be best that you get with Kelly, at least to start figuring out, well, how do I even structure this deal? Because they're going to ask you. They're going to ask, put it together and send it to me. Put a proposal together and send it to me. So Kelly, maybe they can get in touch with you so that they can start working that type of deal. And how do you help realtors actually outside of your area really put this together so they can get help.
Oh, yeah, I help realtors all the time. It's really, because it's real estate is real estate. That's what I love about real estate. Everywhere. But yeah, getting on the phone and having a consultation. And I really, like you said, understanding who they are as a realtor so that we can make a game plan of and strategize how we're going to go out and start to prospect the type of people that you need in your sphere, because you want to make sure that it aligns with what you want to do ultimately.
Right.
And then we go through the process of this is how we're going to package these types, because you have buyers. So this is how we're going to package your buyers so that when you go and have these conversations with investors or with builders, this is what you can say. I have this list that are people that are listening to X, Y, and Z.
Right.
How can I help you? And I promise you that there'll be a lot of
They'll talk to you.
and they're going to think if they don't have anything, they're going to
Yeah.
start thinking.
That's a
how
great
they
money
can,
maker
because
for
they
them.
know that you have the goal right here to figure out how to get to it.
I like it. I love it. And the fact that you're not asking them, hey, I just need to borrow $250,000. I promise to pay it back. No, these are backed by real estate. So the investor, if for whatever reason that this investor doesn't get his monthly payment, then he's got the property. He will go through the channels, which he doesn't want to, but that's the channel of what a bank would do. You're just replacing a bank with a private investor. And they would be the private investor is the one collecting the money. And the homeowner still, of course, obtains homeownership, that the property is still deeded to that homeowner, but you just don't have to go through all the tape of traditional financing. And I think with the turn of how things are going, there will be more creative type financing deals like that available, because sellers just can't sit, banks are not just going to sit back and just lose everybody, but at the same time, they're traditional banks too, but private investors, this is their time now. If you are connected to any investors, you want to make that call tonight or tomorrow to at least open that door, because this is their time. Like when Kelly was looking at short sales, when it first happened, that was the time to get in on the market. Now, private investors, they've got access to lines of credit. They've got access to their own equity funds, and they need to make more money. And that's all they're here to do. So I love it. So how can they get in touch?
Yes. Oh, yes. So you can just simply text me. My number is 205.
Make sure I put in the group. You guys make sure I'll put her information in the group. All right, go ahead. I'll type it in.
205-674-8774. And just text me and tell me that you want to know what you're looking to do, and we'll set up a call. I'll send you a link, set up a call to discuss with you how I can help. I'm sorry, that's 245. Sorry, 245.
What did I do?
That's my how you have several different office numbers and you don't remember.
Okay, I can't delete it, y'all. Hold on a second.
Oh, sorry.
You put it in the chat box. Okay, go ahead. 205. 245.
8447.
Okay, I'm gonna use this one. Make sure you all copy this telephone number so that you can get in touch with her. You have some notes. Oh, we'll get to Bible class. Yes, you do that. Yeah, you're gonna definitely get some folks. I'm gonna be calling you because I want to start structuring some things, because I've got buyers that are sitting still. And they want to be homeowners. Like it should not be where I couldn't buy because I wasn't ready last year. Like you can't tell somebody, well, you should have purchased last year. Like that's not the thing you want to say to a buyer. It's just, you missed that particular wave, but we've got to see what's available at this time for you. And yeah, that deal that I had today, I'm just thankful that I answered the phone call when that investor called me, because the fact that he shared with me that he has a deal, a renovated house, the seller is open to doing seller financing. And he said, the only thing I need is no criminal background, no evictions in the last 3 years, and 12% down payment, but the interest rate was 10%.
Yes.
The interest rate was 10%, but when you take a look at everything that you got in there, and it was only bank statements that were used to qualify this particular person. They didn't have to go through loan underwriting, you know, that deal was set. So it's a matter of getting those type of sellers that have a house to do it, that inventory, and then you've got buyers who are uniquely, you know, in a position where they could be gig workers, they work for Fiverr, they work for Upwork, and a lot of their income might be up and down. It could be barbers, it could be real estate agents, it could be salespeople. So a lot of that income is up and down, but your deposits are still going into your bank account. If you've got that and you can show that you qualify for that house payment, seller financing is going to be the biggest thing out here.
It is, and just to piggyback on one thing, is even though it's 10%, you just gotta, that's what encourages them to go ahead and either if they don't have to return credit, just as soon as the market starts to, the interest rate starts to come down, which I do believe that will in the next, I say at the end of 2023, I think it's gonna be down, where that's when you go and refinance, and now you're at least you're able to lock up that a property that was growing appreciation, have some equity, and now you have to refinance. Yeah, you have to pay for closing again, but I think anybody would want to do that if you get a 4% interest rate versus 10. Yeah,
but you're also not paying taxes also. So the seller still retains the HOA fees. They're still paying the taxes on it. That 10% is just you in that note. That's it. It's just that money. And there's no other closing costs except that 12% of whatever price that you all agree upon. So you just got to take a look at it. If it's your time to buy, you'll figure out when your time is to buy. Kelly, thank you so much for all this. Definitely for the replay, I'll make sure that your number is put in here, your correct number, so that people can get in touch with you and talk with you. Is that a free consultation?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be a free phone chat for about 30 minutes, see how I can help. And if I can, I'll tell you. And I'll still try to make sure you can walk away with something that you can go and implement.
You will. And then at the same time, if you all need to discuss anything as far as any marketing tips, you certainly come to me, because I already got your webpage already helped and designed out. So just let me know if you need that type of help to help with the marketing part. Then we got you covered. Either way, I think we got you covered. So I just want to open up for any questions that some people may have before we exit things out. Alicia, Vivian, Michelle, you guys have stayed through here. So does anyone have any questions? Or on Instagram?
I don't have any questions. I just want to say thank you. It was very helpful. So I really appreciate the information I received tonight. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Michelle. I hope you got something brand new that you can at least start thinking about.
Yes. So thank you so much, ladies.
Good. Real estate entrepreneur is a big word. So use that. Kelly started out simply by going against the grain, and look where she is now. So a lot of the things that she's doing now, it's not the day-to-day transactions. You don't have to stay in just the day-to-day transactions. Pick a lane and stay there. Pick a lane and just dominate the hell out of it, and just know no one else, just think, no one else is doing this like me. All right. And then you walk into that and you just think, you know, I'm the only person that does this in my community. There is no one doing community pages anymore, you guys. There's no one doing that. So if you specialize in that, I don't care if it's a resale community, if it's a brand new community, be the person in that community who has a web page where people, if they're looking for Lanham, if they're looking for Bowie, if they're looking for Washington, D.C., your page will pop up with all the information and pictures and images and videos that you put on that website. Y'all, it's not hard, but it's just thinking out the box, okay? So you can definitely start to look at that, because what most people think is, I'm going to farm an area, right, Kelly? Remember that word? I'm going to farm an area, so I'm going to spend money to send out cards to homeowners. I'm going to send out cards to renters. That's cute and everything, but I guarantee you, 90% of the people that's going to look for a property is going to be doing this online first. So you might as well have your web page up that caters to that person. I'm looking for homes in Bowie, homes in College Park, Maryland, homes in Washington, DC, whatever it is, make that web page that. homesinwashingtondc.com, homesincollegepark.com. You get the drift. So definitely, if we need to connect, you can always connect with me, and we can make sure that we get some of the marketing things together for you. So I thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Kelly, for this. Did you have any other tips that you wanted to share or squeeze out that we didn't get in?
No, I just want to say that if people don't go away from this market, there's going to be a lot of agents that are going to exit right now because they don't know what it was like, you know, to work, get to sell.
Yeah.
They don't know just what I just gave you. Most people in the agent world would never even understand how to structure that. So don't exit the market. Figure out how to how to cater to and how to provide more education to your buyers, and you will succeed. You'll come out on top.
You come out on top. I like that. So make sure you follow her on Kel's Way on Instagram. If you guys follow her there, and definitely her number will be dropped in here so that you can stay better connected to more. All right. She has 2 bills and are not paying competitive commissions. Are you finding that? Okay. So there's one question we had in here about the commission. Michelle said about the commission.
I have 2 new bills and find that builders are not paying competitive commissions. Are you finding that? Yes, there's going to be builders that are not paying competitive commissions. So I've heard a lot of different ways that some investors are, not investors, but brokers and brokerages are doing it, where I will tell you, if you give me access or give me first look at what's coming out, I will take a point off of my commission. Basically, some people do 1% off their commission. I don't reach commissions ever, so I don't like to speak to that because it just doesn't make sense for me to ever reduce commission for myself.
Right.
But I know that you are basically saying I will, take a percentage off of my commission if you give my client this, or if you have me first look, just so that you can close the deal. I do have that. I think we're out of that market where we're going to have builders. Now, in some areas, I can't, but that's the reason why this market is so different, because every market is not experiencing a recession.
Nope.
Because shortages are just so high right now. But that's when you really develop a relationship with that builder, even if it's a big builder, develop a relationship with the on-site agent so that at least you can have first look and first deal, you can get private showing. There's such things like, hey, let me bring a couple of my buyers over a night when you have closed down the model house just for a private showing.
Right.
I'll do a 1% reduce, but at least I can get in there and I can get my buyers to fall in love with you.
Right.
So they're going to see that and get something on the back end for yourself as well.
And also, if that is a builder that is not driving all that you want, then go on to another one. It's not to say that you have to work with that particular one. You're interviewing them, Michelle, just like they're interviewing you. And that's the main questions that most realtors ask when they pick up the phone. Hey, I saw this Vanderbilt. Do y'all have any more? How much is the base price? Well, how much are you paying in commission? Like, those are the typical questions, but your approach makes a big difference. So if you're coming in there really from a business standpoint, yeah, you want to know what your commission is last, because you can always have that built in the price. You can always have your price built into the price if you have that relationship going on. So I don't want to get too deep with that because it depends who you represent. But at the same time, you got to have that conversation with a builder who respects your time and respects also as far as, hey, I'm not looking for 1%. But if I bring you X amount after the first or second deal, can we talk about this kind of structure? Some of the builders, the bigger builders, will increase your pay after you've given them some play. You got it? So you got to give them something rather than just going in off the top and saying, how much you paying me? Hey, after the first 3 deals, the commission should go here. It's a win-win. You can get it. But if it's not a builder that's going to say yes to anything, then say no to them anyway.
Or do some, or negotiate at a contract signing, a bonus, like, okay, I'll take a percentage off, but I would like to have a $500 bonus. If I bring you, especially if I bring you something like you just said with you,
Exactly.
but just put it in the front end versus back end.
Yeah.
I've seen people do that as well, where they ask for a bonus, a contract signing.
Just ask. Yeah. Toll Brothers, I know Michelle does that. So after a certain amount of deals that you give them, yeah, your pay will go up. But let's get in the door with the first one, even if it is 1%, who's doing most of the work on that deal? The builder is. So just think, it's not much work that you have to do with a new build client. Got it? A lot of the work is caressing them and making sure they get what they need. They're excited about this new build, but you don't have to do a whole lot of the work on that. So even if you were to get X amount %, that's 1% that you didn't have before. Go get another one and let's just rinse and repeat the process. So I think it'll work just fine. Yeah, don't turn anything down, obviously. Yeah, you're not turning anything down. And don't let that be the reason why you go and help that customer. If your customer really loves X builder and you're just like, they're only paying me this, don't just think about that one payday. There are a lot of times that we have taken an L on that to make sure that our client gets what they need. And that's most important. So just remember, it'll be a good setup for the next deal. Right, the client wants the house, so gotta do what you got to do. You gotta do what you gotta do. We'll build that relationship, certainly. Get in touch with Ms. Kelli Meade to get things set up properly. And certainly you can touch base with me if you need any help with resources and marketing support. But I am out. I think you guys are good to go. You guys will get the replay tomorrow. So certainly if you are on Instagram and you want to get this replay, this live is not going to be up long, but if you want to have the actual replay, make sure you come over to my link in my bio and register. That way tomorrow when the replay goes out, you will get a copy of it. All right. So thank you very much, everybody. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Lorie.